Good morning, Flower Mound family, and happy Wednesday to you. It is a joy to gather with you for our Wednesday morning devotional. This week is marking a new beginning for us as a faith family. We will begin the process of outside worship for the whole congregation, launching a new service at 8:15 on our lawn. There's a banner in front of the church inviting everyone who passes by to come. And as I've been driving by the church during this time of COVID to record our services on Sunday morning, I've noticed each week that there's an increasing number of people walking or biking or running on the sidewalk right in front of our church. And I've thought to myself, what an incredible opportunity COVID is offering us. People are just passing by much more than they would normally do. And here we are as a place for them to be reminded that they can experience the love and grace of something beyond what is happening in this world. A true belovedness of knowing they are children of God. And after all, that's why we are a part of the church, aren't we? I shared with our administrative council on Monday evening that I am becoming weary of being your online pastor. I am tired of looking at myself in a screen or preaching to a camera. And I know that some of you are as well. It's hard not to be together physically. And so I know when many of us look to the church as our third space, our connection of friends and family, that's a weekly togetherness that brings us all the assurance of feeling connected, those handshakes, those smiles. And I know we're all wondering, what will worship be like when we get back? There is a naming of that nostalgia that I think is really important. I've only been your pastor for 8 months in person before we were 6 months online. That's almost half of my time with you, and so I can imagine if this is how I feel, how only you must feel with decades of memories together. And so the prayer that I have as we navigate through this next phase of outside worship for the general congregation and start the reopening process of the church is we remember our why more than our what or our how. Our why we gather is for connection with God and covenant. It's the "you shall have no other gods before me" that we follow intentionally. You see, we've been talking about covenant all month because it's so important for us to remember our why at this time. The Mosaic covenant is all about remembering the why we worship, to focus our minds and our hearts on God being first and foremost in our lives. This was the covenant that was made on Mount Sinai before God and guided the entirety of the commandments to live in love with God and neighbor. The news and the social media, I feel, distract our why sometimes by focusing on our how and our what. But when we gather on Sunday to worship, we'll be wearing masks and we'll be asking you to bring your own lawn chair and following social distance practices. I pray we will remember our why. We're not there for ourselves or our own convenience or to witness to a political agenda that's left or right or anything in between. We're gathering for the purpose of worship, to invite the presence of God into our lives, opening our hearts and our minds to be vessels of Christ's love, and to look into each other's eyes and remember that we are all holy. God is with us as we see one another and feel this connectedness, whether it is in person or online. But we will gather on Sunday so that those who are walking or riding their bikes might stop and see our why. That it's so important that we each take the time to focus our lives on God as first and foremost. And perhaps they might join us and do the same. Now, I know worshiping outside with a mask and a lawn chair in the heat may not be your ideal or what you ultimately want for comfort or convenience, but this is what I also know. Our why is more important than our what or our how. We're a people of faith and obedience, and to worship in covenant with one another before God. I'm excited to see your face on Sunday morning, to preach the good news of a God who, even when we don't follow covenant perfectly, does not break covenant with us. And so this Sunday, our outside and our online services will have a Join the Church Sunday. And there are people who are going to be making covenant with this church to support and encourage them in their faith journey. I ask that you be present, whether in person or online. It's because during these past 6 months, you've been the church to them. And even when we couldn't gather face to face, you stayed true to that covenant. And now these folks want to make covenant with you. So let us do our best to not succumb to the weariness of our how, and instead remember our why. That why is met by a God who is always faithful. So I look forward to seeing you on Sunday. Peace to you and yours. Have a beautiful day.